let's talk anxiety. Man, I really struggled with even making this video. Um, I thought about it, and then lately I've been like feeling like I want to share so much, and then my vulnerability really hits me, as Brene Brown calls it, the vulnerability hangover hits me, and I'm like, no, I don't want to show anything about myself. I don't want to show any insecurities. I don't want to show any vulnerabilities. Let me just stick to fitness. But for the last couple years, I have been really working on healing myself internally and physically. But fitness has been my thing for over 10 years, and my website is called Beyond Fitness because I want to reach people in a level beyond just fitness, beyond what just we look like on our outside appearance, beyond just moving the physical body, but really going in with healing what's inside in our internal body and our internal thoughts, our brain, our struggles, our depression and anxiety. And anxiety has been a journey for me. I don't remember having that much anxiety as a kid, but when I think back now and as I've been doing this internal healing work, I remember when I was 3 years old, my parents divorced. And though I don't remember them fighting so much before 3 years old, but I remember as they were going through the process of divorcing that I had to get picked up at the police station because my parents would fight so much that it was just the only place that they can have like a neutral spot to exchange me when it was my dad's weekend, when it was my mom's time. I lived with my mom, and I think that I picked up on anxiety a lot from my mom, and her anxiety over my dad and her anger towards my dad. And I just remember starting to, as that, my mom called the police a couple times on my dad for keeping me overtime, and it was just this constant like battle between them. And I remember I started to feel in my stomach a lot of internal just conflict and confusion, and wondering why them having me, is it my fault that I'm causing all of this? And I remember going to a child therapist that my mom put me in because of the divorce, and I really don't remember much with the therapist. I remember her playing toys with me a lot of the times, and I think that's the way child therapists helps kids, because they see how you're playing with the toys, and that's how they kind of create a dialogue. But I don't remember beyond that it helping me that much, or even any significant realizations I had, but maybe it's because I was a child. But fast forward, that's kind of when I feel like my anxiety on a subconscious level started. I don't think I was fully aware of it on a conscious level, but I think subconsciously it was starting to go into my brain, how I handle conflict, right away going into like fight or flight mode, and not having a proper example of how to handle it. And then when I was in 7th grade. I can't remember what age that is. I think that's like around 12 years old. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm probably going to start to get a little emotional, but when I was around 12 years old, both my mom and dad were cigarette smokers, and my mom got asthma really bad, and she was smoking all the time, and she got asthma bad. And I remember my mom's boyfriend, who lived with us at the time, he left the house to go get my mom some medicine. And in that span of time that he left to get my mom some medicine, my mom, I remember she screamed for me. And at first I was like, I kind of hear something because it was really faint. But I didn't right away just like run over. But then I heard something again, and I ran over to her room, and she was laying on the floor, completely purple and blue in the face. She was gasping for air. I can remember it so vividly, and I've never seen anything like this in my life up to that point. And yeah, she was completely purple and blue, like the exact color purple, and gasping for air, and she couldn't breathe. And I knew she couldn't breathe and she was dying. So I called 911, and they were pretty much like, you need to give her CPR or your mom's going to die. And so I gave her CPR, and they finally came, and it felt like, I swear, the fire department at the time was like down the street, and it felt like the ambulance and fire department got there like hours later. It just felt like time was going so slow. And when they finally got there, they looked at me and they were like, you saved your mom's life. She completely stopped breathing, and she would have died if you didn't give her the CPR. At the time, I was so young, I couldn't even really process. Like, we went to the hospital, and we later found out that her doctor told her she can't smoke anymore because it affected her lungs so much that if she continues to smoke cigarettes, that she's going to full on die. And honestly, I was so young that I don't remember processing. I remember feeling really scared for a long time after that, but I don't remember fully processing that was like a huge trauma to me. And after that, I started to get a weird, I'm not even going to use the word weird because OCD is not weird, but I started to get OCD. And, you know, normally when you hear about OCD, you hear of people opening the door a million times and it affecting their entire life, where my life was completely normal to the outside perspective. But before I would go to sleep at night, I would have to knock like 5 times equally on one hand, 5 times equally on the other hand, and go back and forth, making sure that I knocked the evenly amount of times. And if I didn't do that, in my head, I thought that somebody was going to die in my life. And it affected me for a long time, and then it just somehow went away, and life kind of went on for a bit. And then I've talked a lot about this openly, but when I was 18 years old, my dad was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. I'm sure you've heard a lot about that. There was the Ice Bucket Challenge, and then there's been a lot of athletes who have gotten it. But basically, your brain stays the same, and your entire body just starts to deteriorate muscle by muscle. And I'm not going to I'll save that for a whole nother episode, going into my dad's death and grieving and all of that. But long story short, my dad died pretty fast after he was diagnosed. And I was 18, and I had just graduated high school. And I was trying to, the whole time he was dying, go through being a senior in high school. I was co-captain of the dance drill team. I, had a lot of friends. I was really loving just like, high school life. And at the same time, I was struggling with my dad dying and being a senior in high school and acting like a normal high schooler. And it caught up with me because I was just ignoring my feelings, and it caught up with me after my dad died. And I started to kind of down spiral. And my way of dealing with my anxiety response was, partying, drinking, hanging out with friends, socializing constantly, and just kind of forgetting that I have anxieties, that I have traumas, that I'm struggling with depression pretty bad. Again, I'll save that for another episode. But yeah, I feel like the first half of my 20s, I didn't really realize that I had anxiety, and I thought I was okay. Like, I thought, like, yeah, I have a couple times that I get drunk and cry a lot, and I'm so depressed. Like, there was one time I drove myself to the hospital my dad died in, and I begged them to kill me and let me be in heaven with my dad. And, you know, I had moments, but I still didn't think, like, okay, I have anxiety. And it's interesting, but I didn't really realize it until my late 20s. And, you know, I owned my fitness studio for 5 years. I moved to Kauai. I started traveling the world by myself. I still didn't really notice it, and it wasn't until, you know, my late 20s and my early 30s, I'm 32 right now, that I have been noticing and observing my anxiety more and more. And oddly enough, I'm almost a year sober now. I cut out alcohol, and I've noticed my anxiety on a whole nother level, I think, because I don't have the option to numb it with drinking. And I've been forced to feel every emotion and observe every emotion and sit in the anxiety, sit in the emotions, sit in all of these feelings that I didn't realize maybe I was numbing with alcohol. Like, I wasn't at home drinking by myself, but I would go out with friends, and when I was feeling a certain way. And the past year, I've noticed my anxiety a lot more. I have an extreme anxiety of dying. I'm so terrified to die. It feels so out of my control that it scares the shit out of me. I have a fear now when I'm in the passenger of people's cars. I am constantly scared that something's going to happen and a car crash is going to happen. I don't even know exactly. I got in a really bad car crash after my dad died, and I don't know if that brought it on, but if I'm driving, I feel like I'm in control, it's okay. But when I'm in the passenger of someone's car, even if I'm on a long drive with them, I can't really fully relax, and I can't fully, you know, like some people can fall asleep on long road trips. I can't do that. What else? My anxiety is brought on by weird, you know, I guess it's situations I can't control, you know, like I talked about the codependency episode, and when I've been in relationships and I don't know what they're thinking, I get anxiety. I get anxiety that I'm not going to fulfill all the things I want to fulfill in this lifetime. I don't know what really fully brings it on, but it's definitely moments that I don't feel in control of. And I've been really observing this and realizing more and more that my past traumas have created an intense anxiety in my brain to the point that it's really affecting my life today, and to the outside world nobody would ever know because I deal with it internally and I deal with it on my own. Anyways, that's my anxiety story. So, you know, the few ways that I deal with anxiety, I'm going to share with you guys. I've had a couple coaches in my life coach, a coach on helping me with relationship. I've had therapy before. That all those things helped a lot. But at the end of the day, it comes to a pattern that I create within myself, because I can go talk to someone once a week. I can do all these things, but again, if I don't change the patterns and create healthy habits for myself daily, then those things only help temporarily. So a big thing for me is moving my body. When I stay still, like let's say I'm feeling anxiety and I'm just staying in bed all day, I'm gonna feel it 10 times more. So movement is huge for me, and I talk a lot about exercise being such a huge form of therapy, and it is. And I'm not saying go and follow a exact workout. I'm just saying move your body a lot. Something that I've been doing a lot recently is shaking my body, and I literally just get up and just shake my body out. And I've been reading a lot about how that rewires your brain, and it rewires that fight or flight in your brain. And I mean, I'll write down below what it exactly does, because I'm not explaining this well at all, but that's something that really helps. It helps with the nervous system. Going for a long walk really helps me. Throwing on music, working out helps me too. Any type of movement where I'm just kind of like releasing that tension in my body. I feel my anxiety all in my stomach, and a big thing for me is needing to feel grounded, and I eat really grounding foods when I feel that anxiety come on. So for example, rice with chicken and vegetables, oatmeal, a lot of warming teas. Tea helps me immensely, just to feel more grounded and less airy. When I have anxiety, my stomach feels completely empty. It's hard for me to eat, and I just feel like I'm kind of floating out of my body. And so grounding myself is really important. Again, that's why I really recommend going outside if you have nature around. But even if you don't have nature around, or you can't go on a hike, just going for a walk and feeling the earth and seeing plants and seeing nature just helps to really ground you, and it really helps me immensely. Another thing that I've been doing at nighttime is I go to sleep. I listen to sleep hypnosis. I pick a different subject every night. One night might be, releasing anxiety. Another night might be about loving myself more. Another night might be about more confidence, whatever it is. I just listen to different sleep hypnosis. I listen to meditations. I try and throw something positive on, positive music, positive meditation, positive, affirmations, something to just kind of snap me from going down a down spiral in my anxiety. I remind myself that it's going to be okay, and that I've gone through this before, I've felt this before, I survived, and I could do that again, thinking back to all those moments that I've felt so out of control with my anxiety and felt like a full-on panic, and that I survived that. And the more I think about that, the more each time it comes up again, I remember I can survive that again, and I'm going to get through to the other side. That's pretty much all of the things. And then journaling is huge. Getting all my thoughts on paper, even doing this is helping me a lot. This past week I felt a lot of anxiety, and so speaking about it is helping me through the process. I think, using your throat chakra and really speaking, even if you're not going to talk to anybody, maybe record on your phone, maybe just write it all out. Whatever helps you just get like all of your thoughts and emotions and feelings out, either through your mouth or through on paper, is really going to shift things and help, that feeling when you just feel like everything's trapped in your body. You can start to trap your emotions, which later lead to diseases, which later lead to creating all these traumas in your body. And so it's really important to just try and let it out, get it out. So journaling, dancing, shaking, speaking, all of those things, movement really just help. And so those are kind of my tips on how I move through anxiety currently. It's an ongoing process. It's really important to take care of yourself, the food you're eating, nourishing your body, drinking lots of water. Sounds so basic, but in those moments of stress and anxiety, in my case, it's easy to just not eat. It's easy to just not take care of myself. And so I think remembering that we need to still show ourselves some love in those moments and not be ashamed and really embrace that we are observing this and we are processing it and we are moving through it and we are really trying to rewire our brain and heal. And I just wanted to make this video to really share my story, give my tips, and hope that if you're watching this and you're struggling too, that you don't feel alone in this and that you don't feel like you're weird and you don't feel like, why do I have to go through this and no one else does? You honestly have no idea if nobody else is going through this, because I have been shocked in the people who have told me they have anxiety. I think even people have been shocked when I have said it, you know? It's so easy to put on this outside show of we're doing okay, but you don't know anybody's internal battles unless they're willing to share about it, and not everybody has to share about it, you know? And so just remember that, and let's make this a community where we can share and support one another together. And if you're an HSP like me, highly sensitive person, or if you struggle with anxiety or depression, we're here all together. And I just send you guys so much love, and I hope this video helps you and helps you to know you're not alone. And please comment below anything you're going through, direct message me on Instagram, whatever it is you need from me, feel free to reach out. And I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and if you haven't already, give it a like, share if you know anybody who might be struggling, and make sure to subscribe to my channel and show me some support in this process and me being fully vulnerable with you guys. Thank you guys.